Hey there, what's up, sisters? Welcome to another episode of What's That?
Sister Chat.
Yes, we are so excited. I'm so happy to see you guys. I have been so busy. You guys have been so busy. We haven't had a chance to chat. And today, well, this week, I saw an article that was like, what? And I thought we should chat about it. There's been a lot of weird things happening in the world. But this I thought was really interesting, and I would love to hear my sister's thoughts on this. So I sent you guys this article, 750 million plus genetically engineered mosquitoes are set to be released in Florida and Texas. They got federal approval to release these things into the environment open. And I want to know, before we dig deep into the details of it all, first thoughts when you saw that.
First thoughts, the world is coming to an end. What are they trying to inject us with? Like,
Right?
what is really going on?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say I thought the world was coming to an end. I just thought like, okay, that's a little weird, that's a little scary, but that was just like from reading the headline, right? Like that was like,
Yeah.
wait, what do you mean GMO mosquitoes? Like why would you do that? What's going on here? You know? That was my initial thought. I ain't think like But I did think, yo, we need something else right now during the pandemic. That's what we need? Really?
Did we have
Exactly.
killer hornets a couple months ago?
Yes, we have had like cracked out crocodiles. They said there's an asteroid that's supposed to hit the US on the day before the election. I mean, literally, I like put in my stories, the game makers are having way too much fun. Like, may the odds be ever in your favor because they just playing with us now, right? But
Or
I think it's a really good point that just the title seemed a little like, whoa, what's going on? But it's important that we dig a little deeper. I tend to not watch much news, but I do scroll titles for Sister Chat so that I can be in the know so we can have a conversation. So let's dig a little bit into this conversation, right? So I guess the first point is let's talk about what they said that this is supposed to do. So the whole point of releasing these 750 million plus mosquitoes into the environment is supposed to be in order to stop the spread of infectious diseases like dengue, yellow fever, Zika, and the idea is that they let these male mosquitoes come in. They're supposed to mate with the female mosquitoes, and then they're genetically modified so that their female offspring die because the female offspring are what bite you, and the male offspring are feed on nectar, so they're not supposed to bite you, and that way they're not carriers for the disease. So knowing that that's its intention, I'd love to hear what you think about that, Cherise.
Okay. It feels like a I don't know, it might be totally wrong, so y'all don't get mad at me. But y'all know those stories in the Bible where it was like get rid of your first kid and it feels like that. Like, like and it feels like first of all, like, there could be so many unintended consequences to this. And that is the scariest part of it because like first of all, they're trying to get rid of infectious diseases, which listen, I happen to believe they might have caused. They started the disease. Now you're trying to get rid of what you started by doing something else that you gotta, that you're creating. And then now you're gonna have to get rid of something else because you created these mosquito things that, you say it's supposed to feed off of nectar, but now what if it breeds with its female counterpart and now it's like these like they have like they're huge or something and they can suck all the blood out of humans. I mean, I'm just saying, who knows? And like I know, I think it was in Michigan. I'm not sure, but I think it was in Michigan where they had like a similar issue where they were trying to get rid of some kind of bug or and they bred these, I think it was like flies or something, and they bred these caterpillars to eat the flies. And there were so many caterpillars that the caterpillars totally like ruined all the crops. There was no leaves on the trees in like July, and even cars were like caterpillars were falling out of the trees so often that cars were like hydroplaning on the guts of caterpillars that were on the ground. Literally.
Whoa.
And so then they had to create, then they brought in these like ladybugs, I think Japanese ladybugs, to eat the caterpillars. And then it was like an infestation of these
cycle.
ladybugs. So it was just like this cycle of trying to get out of this thing that we created. And it's like kind of insane. Like, hello, like are we like some kind of like living experiment? I don't have time for that.
I totally feel you. When you create a vacuum, something will fill the void. So I think that's a really good point. What do you think, Shells?
Whew. I'm with Sharice. I'm like, what are y'all thinking? Like, what's really going on? I thought maybe like, when I was like, maybe you never know with evolution, things, evolve differently, even like when our cells and stuff mutate, right? So what if the males start to mutate and then they start biting? Like, what if that happens? Because like, you just don't know what's going to happen. Why would you do this? I mean, I would love for them to use it to get rid of, diseases or, to stop the spread of diseases. But that's taking it a little too far. Like you are manipulating nature. I
Yeah.
don't think that's right. And I think it's like Sheree said, it's like a cycle. Just gonna have to create something to get rid of this one. Like it's gonna be a never-ending cycle. And you're like I said, manipulating nature. What's gonna happen? Like something majorly bad can happen. I'm not trying to sound like the crazy person that says something's gonna happen, but you just never know when you start messing with nature.
I don't think you're crazy at all. In fact, Sharice said a second ago, how do we know they're not trying to solve something that they brought in? And I thought it was interesting as I was reading about this company. This is actually planned to be the first ever release of GM mosquitoes in the United States. Like they've never been able to release them in the US. They've tried a couple of times and they failed. What I thought was interesting was that they have released these GM mosquitoes in Brazil, which is where the Zika babies were. And just seeing that, I don't know if those things are connected or not. I just think that that's real suspicious that you have this major outbreak. And Zika was supposed to be what this pandemic has become, right? Everyone was freaking out. You weren't allowed, like they were worried about you coming into other countries if you've been exposed, and pregnant women, it was like they turned it into this really huge headline. But they have released these in Brazil, the Cayman Islands, Malaysia, and Panama, which I think is really interesting because that's some place that I have lived in the past. And there's all sorts of questions about how these things could interact with humans. And so I'm especially interested in what you think, Shells, because Harris County, Texas, has actually gotten federal approval. I want to say this though before you answer. They have not gotten state and local approval, but they have gotten federal approval. So considering I'm not in Panama anymore, I feel really good about that. How do you feel about being in Houston and they're possibly projecting Houston to be one of the locations where they might release next year?
Yeah, so when I saw that, I was like, okay, where am I moving to now? Because I don't want to be a part of this experiment. But then when I read that, right now they're not focusing on that. They're trying to focus on, COVID, what's going on with COVID here. So I'm like, okay, I have a little bit of time, but it makes me very, very nervous because I don't know how I as a person would react to being bitten by this GMO mosquito, or how my family or friends would react to it. Like, are we going to have this adverse reaction? I know that it's been released in other countries. It would be interesting to see their results and how their people have feared with it, but it makes me nervous, not as nervous as COVID's made me. So it's the end times, y'all. You just gotta roll with it. at this point.
I definitely think we have to figure out how to roll with it. I don't know about end times,
I
but we
mean,
definitely have to figure out how the heck do we roll with all of this craziness. I think you bring up a really good point though. What sort of reactions can humans have from the interaction with these GMO mosquitoes, right? And
yeah.
the science doesn't say. We don't know because it's that it hasn't been tested, and they're doing an open release. I know I read some things about scientists saying that they had wished that before they did an open release that they would do something. They would do a caged release so that it was something that they could monitor and they could look at how it affects other species, because there are animals that eat mosquitoes, right? And
Mhm.
then there are animals that eat the animals that eat the mosquitoes, right? Fish eat mosquitoes. Humans eat fish. I mean, I don't, so I'm not worried about that part, right? But there are things to think about when you start thinking about what are some of these unintended consequences, like Cherie said a little while ago. How could that, like, what kind of impact, what kind of concerns might come up? Even just something like a mosquito bite. Like, I'm somebody who's had some more exaggerated reactions. Like, I'll get bit by a mosquito and I'll have a huge lump on my arm. I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe that sucker was GMO and they just didn't tell us, right?
Right.
No.
You know what comes to mind? I don't know if you guys have ever saw the movie Bee Movie. It was about a bee who was trying to find out what he wanted to be. He ended up being like a lawyer or something crazy. But the bees stopped fertilizing the flowers. And so with the mosquitoes, they go around and they suck the nectar from flowers. And so we're going to have all of these, we're going to end up having all these male mosquitoes. It's going to be an overrun of over pollinating. What effect is that going to have on the earth?
It's true.
It's crazy. Like,
Really,
I think they need to stop playing with life, with nature. Leave it alone.
that's a really good point. And for humans, like, people who have like seasonal allergies, that can be a really big issue that they didn't even consider, because like I know for me, like, oh my god, see, like in the spring, if I'm in Texas in the spring, I'm having an allergy attack, you know what I mean? I just am. And like, if they're going to be pollinating, like if they're going to be spreading all this pollen everywhere, now what's that going to be like, really? Like,
Right.
that's a really good point.
And
Yes.
I never had issues with allergies, and this year for some reason I've had allergy issues all summer long. Never ever had issues with allergies until this year. So maybe they've already released it and didn't tell us.
And the thing is, Cece, like I know you're in not in the US, but like just because they're releasing them in the Florida Keys and in Texas doesn't mean that's where they're gonna stay.
Yeah, they can travel. They'll get on a plane with somebody.
100%.
They got wings. They fly.
100%. I thought that too, because they said, well, it's been approved for Harris County. Okay, but what about neighboring counties? What happens to Fort Bend County? What happens, you know what I'm saying? Like, and as these things spread, there's all there. I guess for me, and this is the social worker in me, I have a real issue with informed consent, right? Like, it's ingrained in me. If you're going to do anything to me, then I need to consent to it first. And I mean, Black people especially have a history of being experimented on without any consent. And so this is one of the things that I find probably the most frightening about this entire thing. So historically, an earlier version of this mosquito they wanted to release in Florida, in another city. That city hosted a referendum, meaning they had a vote, and the residents overwhelmingly said no. And so they had to get rid of it. Now, this new one, instead of doing a referendum, they simply did a vote. They opened it up for public comment. And they had over 30,000 people with saying, no, please, we don't want this, right? And they had less than 500 people who said, okay, yeah, I'm for it. And they chose not to do a referendum. And so they're completely taking away the option for people to vote on whether this is something that they want to do. And then you have these people releasing something that could potentially have effects on the environment and on humans. They've not consented. These things could spread to other communities. who've also not consented. And now all we have is literally, some sort of experimentation. So what are your thoughts on this idea of voting and public comment and all of that around this topic?
Well, with what you just said, it seemed like it don't matter what we decide. It's like, right? Like, it's like they don't care that we don't want these things. It's almost like you have some people playing this game with us, like, okay, well, we're gonna, like, they're just trying to see what they can create. And honestly, like, in the article, they talked about it being like a modern day Jurassic. I don't know if it was in that article or another one.
It was
about it being a modern day Jurassic Park experience. And y'all know I love dinosaurs. Okay, shout out Dynasty Desires, but I am not trying to have some mosquitoes that are the size of dinosaurs running around the Florida. I went to the Florida Keys in last year when we could travel, and it was beautiful, amazing. I didn't get bit by one mosquito. Like, I just can't imagine like going there and seeing these swarms of mosquitoes, and it's such a small place. And I know those people said no. They had to have said no, and now you don't even care. Now that's gonna probably ruin the tourism industry is already messed up from the pandemic, and now you're gonna do, like, we're not paying attention to not only what the people want, but also what we need. Like, we don't need GMO. Like, Mother Nature will take care of it itself. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It has its own way of getting rid of things. Like, there's no reason for us to interfere. I mean, we already have GMO food.
Exactly. Except for the fact that if they are trying to fix something that they initially created, then that's why they feel the need to continue this project, even though people have said no. They're like, but you guys don't know what the problem is. We got to fix it.
I'm not sure that that's what it is as much as it is. We've invested so much money in research and development of this project. I mean, this has been going on for years. They've been doing it in other communities. And this is a business. This is a business. And, I read some of the arguments from scientists who were saying, you guys have given all of the control in the study of this thing to the corporation that is funding it. And they have no ethical obligation to make sure that it's not going to harm the environment or people. Like, they have a fiduciary responsibility to their stakeholders to get this thing out here. And I
guess that's true. They do have fiduciary they have to work in fiduciary capacity for their stakeholders, but also, like, as a scientist or as somebody who is messing with what was created by God, like who told you that you could play that role of God and the fiduciary over like, you're not acting a fiduciary on our for us.
There's
like,
no moral
compass. I don't like
within that. Like,
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's competing interests. Go ahead, Chels.
I was just gonna say, I hadn't heard. Oh well, I heard about it like a couple of days before you sent that email, the article, and I didn't read it until you sent it. So when I saw that it was to be released in Houston, I was like, how come I didn't hear about this before? And I didn't get a chance to vote on it. So the fact that they're not allowing people to have a say so makes me wonder, what are they trying to hide?
Yeah. I mean, I think, and again, it's a situation with competing interests. Look, we tried that way. We let people vote. They said no. Well, let's not let them vote the next time, because we're trying to make money, right? And maybe they have some desire for it to be, some sort of ecological impact. Maybe that's some part of it. I mean, I'm sure that's some part of their mission. But at the end of the day, this is something that they have invested who knows how much money into. So I think that's interesting. I also like that you brought up GMO food, and let's take the conversation there, unless anybody has anything else they want to say specifically about mosquitoes. Are we good? Okay, so GMOs are pretty controversial. They're pretty controversial. And it's interesting that GMO foods in the United States are not required to be labeled. There are other parts of the world where they are required to be labeled, and you're allowed to, again, I swear I talk about consent again. If I don't even know that there's a GMO food inside of a product, then I can't make a decision that I feel is best for me, whether that is to, hey, I believe in this technology and I'd love to eat more GMO, or I decide, hey, I don't believe in this technology and I'd like to keep my food as natural as I can. And so I would love to know your thoughts. How do you guys feel about GMO foods? Do you check packages? Are you someone who likes them or who's avoiding them?
It's kind of hard to avoid because, like you say, there is no actual packaging unless the manufacturer puts it on the label. So it's really hard. And I'm sorry, I'm not growing my own food. I'm just not yet, at least. But I just think it all, like you said, comes down to money and greed and just having no kind of moral compass. I mean, GMO foods could be the cause of many of the diseases that we deal with today. We don't know the ramifications of it, really. I mean, I haven't personally researched to see any like data on, the GMO and how it affects people and their livelihoods. But I have a feeling that it affects our health. And we have a lot of isn't like America like one of the most obese countries? We have
Yes.
a lot of people with heart issues, chronic pain. All of that stuff can be connected to GMO. We don't know, but it's all about money. It's really all about money. That's all I got to say right now.
What do you think, Sharice?
Well, I definitely try to avoid foods that have GMO are like highly processed, just because of like how I just try to eat a little. I've taught myself how to eat better because y'all know back in the day. But but I have to say, but it's hard because some of the foods that I really, really like are like GMO, and it does tell you on the box actually, like particularly cereals and cookies. Like, and I'm not gonna say which ones, but they're like
so the ones that I'm about to eat.
But yeah, seriously, like they say it, and so I'm like, oh God, I have to. And then it's like a little bit of work to go and look at each box and make sure that you're finding the one that has the things that you need. But then once you learn the brand of like which one's supposed to be good for you or better, then it makes it easier. But so sometimes I'll like stray and eat like a GMO cookie. I'm just saying, because it'd be good, and you got to treat yourself. But But I also like, one of the initiatives at the Black Lady Theater is to create like urban farms, right? So like being able to, and one of my friends or colleagues, I guess, is someone who does urban farming. So like planting, fresh fruits and vegetable seeds in gardens or even on your windowsill in your own home. Like, I've not created, but I've grown like green onions and like just like, different things like that, like herbs and stuff in the house. But it's kind of difficult because you don't necessarily know if those, plants that you're starting from were GMO. So that's the thing. It's like because they don't have to tell you, you don't necessarily know. But I do try to get things that are organic and stuff. But y'all know I had got some organic corn the other day, and it was a whole caterpillar inside eating my food live. It was eating my corn. And y'all know I don't like bugs, but y'all could look at my Instagram and y'all can see the video of what happened. But yeah,
it was funny. I watched. Have you seen it, Cece?
I have not seen it.
I couldn't even finish it. I was laughing so hard. It was so funny.
It was laughing at me.
Sorry, Sharice, but it was funny.
I'm totally checking it out when we get off of this call. That is one of the funniest things I heard. I'm so used to that now, though. It's like when you eat really fresh and organic things, bugs just be showing up. They just be there.
It's
Yeah.
fine, just not in my food, not in my house. Like how you gonna come with me all the way from the store in my bag? Like, and then you gonna be on the counter just chilling.
Eating that corn.
And have you ever seen the caterpillar's mouth? That is the question. I saw a caterpillar's mouth, y'all. It was crazy.
I'm definitely check out Sharice's Instagram. Sharice got to drop that in the comments or drop it in the description box so that people can see it, because that's too funny. Like, it's just too funny. But I think this is a really good discussion around GMO and labeling, right? Because the reality is that most of the time you don't know because it's not required. So all we can really do is our best. And, you know, one of the things that I'm always teaching my clients is the importance of having some self-compassion and not beating yourself up when you do eat something that isn't necessarily a part of what you would desire, right? So just giving yourself that space and being okay and not beating yourself up. So I think that that's important. But I'm with you. Like, if I see something is labeled and it tells me it's non-GMO, I'm more likely to buy it. I do happen to turn boxes around and look for that little line. They won't put this is a GMO product on a big, you know, on a big stamp on the front, but they'll usually have a very small line that says that this was made from a genetically modified ingredient or whatever. And so, you know, we pay attention. I try to eat as fresh as I can, but the reality is that, I mean, a lot of fruits and vegetables are GMO, and if you don't know better, if they don't tell you, you won't know better. So that is one of the things. I do love that you guys brought up the seeds, though. I mean, it's so incredible. I feel like now is the time more than ever to buy seeds and have them on hand, right? Because I don't know where the world is going. I don't know what's going to happen next. Like, like Sharice said, Jurassic Park, it feels like the Hunger Games to me lately. Like, I feel like the game makers are just throwing stuff at us. So, you know, you can look for seeds that are certified non-GMO and just have those on hand for when you are ready. You might not plant now, but maybe it's something that you're thinking about in the future. It's something that you can do to stay as healthy as possible. So we're going to wrap this thing up. I do want to know, health is top of mind. There's a global pandemic, right? They're talking about second waves, even though I don't know if first waves actually finished in lots of parts of the world. And people are thinking about their health, right? Now we've got these GMO mosquitoes and all these crazy things happening in the world. What are you ladies doing to stay healthy and fit during these crazy times? Shells?
What am I doing? Just, you know, the normal self-care, making sure I'm taking care of myself mentally, and physically. And just, you know, I've had to turn the news off because there's just so much depressing stuff going on. So I don't remember the last time I watched the news. You know, we have a storm that could be headed to Houston, so I've been keeping up with it on my phone. But as far as like sitting down watching the news like I used to, I had to stop that like way months ago. And you know, just taking care of myself mentally. When I see myself about to like, I gotta just reel myself back in and just take some time for me. So that's pretty much all I've been doing.
I love that. I love that you talk about your emotional well-being. You know, that's one of the things I'm always preaching to my clients. Mind, body, and spirit, they're all connected. You've got to work on all of them to be a happy, healthy human. Right. So that's a really great tip there. How about you, Sharice? What are you doing to stay healthy and fit right now?
Well, I'm taking naps.
Yes.
And I'm also so y'all know I was a competitive cheerleader for 10 years. And so I have actually been going to the park and tumbling with my friend. So we just been going and like just keeping our body active. Like my friend is a circus performer. I'm a former cheerleader and cheer coach. So and I'm a performer as well. And so for us, it's really important to keep our bodies moving and continue stretching and doing those kinds of things. And you know, we had done a panel discussion on just like on advocating for your health recently, and one of the you know, you were there, CC. One of the one of the speakers, she was a physical therapist, and she said, you know, you should take 10 minutes a day to stretch. So that's what I've really been doing every morning and every night. I do some stretching as well as like in doing my midday tumble. Y'all, like I was literally sore for like a week after the first time. Like I was like, yo. So you definitely have to keep your body moving as much as you can, you know, especially while you can. So if you can get up and move, definitely do that. Even if it's in your house for 5 seconds, 5 minutes. I mean, like YouTube is amazing. There's so many great tools on there, so many great virtual dance classes and things like that, Kinergy and all that good stuff. So definitely that's what I've been doing, but you guys should check it out too.
Love it, love it. Let's get a link to that panel discussion. If you're somebody who's been trying to figure out how you can really advocate for yourself and how you can get healthy, it was a really great discussion with some really good experts to help you in that process. So we'll go ahead and add that to the description box so that you can tune in and get that additional information. As for me, I love that Cherie said move your body. That's one of the things that I have been doing hardcore. I'm not tumbling, but we did purchase a rebounder. And so I have been jumping up and down on my rebounder every day, making sure I'm taking care of my lymph system because I know how important that is. I've really been focused in on my nutrition. You guys know I'm plant-based. It means a lot to me that I'm eating foods that are taking care of me, but I'm also supplementing pretty heavily. I've sort of took the time to make sure that I'm getting in those greens every day and in high amounts and eating a little bit more raw food. I'll go ahead and include the link to the supplements that I enjoy in case it's something that you're looking for so that you can stay healthy as well. We'll drop that link in the description so that you can get access to that. The other thing that I'm really excited about is my husband and I actually have put together a course about transitioning to a plant-based diet. So if you're sitting here and you're going, dude, I want to get healthier, I want glowing skin, I want more energy, I want to feel better, I want to feel safer. And there's so much you can't control. The one thing that we can control is the foods we put in our mouth. So if you are somebody who would love to transition to a plant-based diet, but maybe you're not sure, my husband and I put a little map together, we put a course together for you, and we'll include that in the description as well. So feel free to check that out. So sisters, any final words on health, wellness, GMO, mosquitoes, the game makers, and all of the things that they keep making up for us?
Lord help us all.
A lot of prayer. Lots of prayer.
Absolutely. That's that spiritual wellness, which is also just as valuable and just as important. So we want to thank you for taking the time to join the sisterhood today and sound off in the comments. Let us know, are you feeling these GMO mosquitoes? What do you think about them? Let us know. We can't wait to hear your thoughts on that. Don't forget to join the sisterhood by hitting that subscribe button and sharing this video with anybody you know who might have something to add to the conversation. So that's it for this episode of What's That?
Sister Chat.
Yes, and we look forward to chatting with you guys later. Ciao.
Bye.